So you've got all the software that's required from the previous video, but how do you actually fly on the VATSIM network? Today, I'm going to sit down and break down for you all of the things that you need to know to get started flying on the VATSIM network. But before I do that, I've got something special to show you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a man of my word. I said it would take 3 weeks. It's taken 1 week. You now have the ability to create a METAR shirt with your own custom METAR across the back. So let's say, for example, you have just finished your first solo flight. You note down the METAR for the day, put it on the back, and there you go. That's some memorabilia that you can use to remember the day that you did your first solo flight. There are countless other reasons why you might want to take down a METAR and put it on the back of one of our shirts. So if that is something that you want to do, head down to the description and you can go ahead and get your order in before the 12th of October, where we close the window. So to begin, we're going to talk about top-down coverage, which is probably the most important thing that you need to understand if you are going to fly on the VATSIM network. Now, top-down coverage is the structure in which ATC is divided. So at the top, as you can see on screen now, you have your center/area controllers. These guys are responsible for taking you and guiding you whilst you are in the air, alongside all other positions below them that aren't currently open. Now, that is where the words top down come in. Let's say, for example, you have a center or an area controller here at the top and no other positions below. That center or area controller will cover every single position below them within their area of responsibility, and their area of responsibility is the sector that they have open or the boundary that they control within. You can see this boundary using a piece of software called either VATSIM Radar or VATSPY, and they allow you to see these sector boundaries so you can see whether or not that controller is covering you. However, if you still aren't able to determine whether or not that controller is covering you, all you need to do is send them a private message on the vPilot client and they will be happy to answer. In order to send a message on the vPilot client, it's very simple. All you need to do is type .msg space and then their call sign. So let's say, for example, we're messaging London Control, LON_CTR, and then space, and then the message that you want to send to them. So in this case, it would be, I am currently on the ground at Manchester. Do you control me? ? And then they will give you a response to your question. Now, I don't want to waste too much time trying to explain to you how top-down works. It is very simple to get your head around once you understand it. So all I'm going to do is show you a diagram on screen, and I'm going to walk you through each position. And later on, I'm going to talk to you about what each position is responsible for. But for now, the only premise that you need to remember is that if you have a controller that is on this diagram that you can see on screen above another controlling position. So let's take, for example, tower here. This tower controller will be responsible for everything below it, so your ground and your delivery positions which sit below. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, luckily I have something for you. In the description, there is a link to VATSIM Mastery. Now, VATSIM Mastery is something new that I've been working on, and what it does is it essentially combines all of the information that is plastered across YouTube and combines it into 28 video modules and 3 full flight breakdowns taught to you by a real-world pilot, and you can get access to that also in the description of this video. Now, each ATC position has its own responsibilities on the VATSIM network. We will start with area controllers and center controllers, which we have already just discussed. Now, an area controller and a center controller is essentially responsible for aircraft that are airborne and they are not in the immediate vicinity of an airport. You will likely contact these controllers when you're above around the 10,000 feet mark. However, if there's no controllers on below to hand you off to the area or center controllers, you will receive a contact me, which is sent to you via the vPilot client if that controller needs to speak to you. Below the area controllers, you have approach and departure controllers, and positions are pretty much summed up by their names. Now, an approach controller is responsible for aircraft that are on the approach. So essentially, they will take you from the area/center controller, and their responsibility will be essentially to assign you an arrival routing that is past your star. If you don't know what a star is, you know what to do. This controller will get you onto either the ILS, RNAV, VOR or visual approach, depending on which approach is in use. And at that point, it will then hand you off to the controller that sits below the approach/departure controller, which is the tower controller. Now, the tower controller is responsible for the runways of the airport alongside the aerodrome traffic zone, which is essentially a zone which spans 2.5 nautical miles from the midpoint of the longest runway of the aerodrome and up to around 2,500 feet. That essentially is a drawn out way of saying that when you take off, the tower controller is going to keep you with them until 2,500 feet, unless it says otherwise in either the ATIS or the NOTAMs. NOTAMs, notices to airmen. ATIS, I'll cover later in this video. Tower controller is also responsible for clearing you to land, and you'll be handed off to them by the approach controller when you are on final. Now, below the tower controller, you have the ground controller, and the ground controller, as it says in the name, is responsible for controlling you when you are on the ground of the aerodrome. They will give you taxi instructions either to the runway if you're departing or to stand if you are arriving, and their responsibility is to stop you from colliding with other aircraft on the ground and to get you to your stand as quickly and efficiently as possible. And finally, below the ground controller, you have the delivery controller, and the delivery controller is responsible for issuing IFR clearances as well as flow management, which essentially means that they are responsible for making sure that the holding points are not overflown and that the aerodrome flows efficiently. Those are all of the control positions that you will come across on the VATSIM network. If, however, none of these control positions are online, you will have to monitor a frequency that is called Unicom. Now, it is slightly different in the US, which I'll cover in a minute, but if you are flying in anywhere but the US, if a controller is not online, you need to have the frequency 122.8 programmed into your radio panel so that you can monitor traffic and see what they are doing, alongside give traffic updates on what you are doing as well. And you will see how to use Unicom later on in this video when I do a full flight breakdown. Now, if you're flying in America, CTAF is what you'll be monitoring, and that is essentially the tower frequency of the aerodrome. If, however, it is not the tower frequency for the aerodrome that you're at, you can go ahead and type .ctaf and then the ICAO code of the airport that you're flying out of into your vPilot client to get access to that frequency. And all you need to do is tune it into your radio panel and treat it the same way in which you would Unicom. Now, when you're airborne and you've left that aerodrome traffic zone, which is what we spoke about earlier, you go back to Unicom. So CTAF is purely for monitoring when you are on the ground at an aerodrome or within the aerodrome traffic zone of that airport. Now you're going to hear from Aidan, who is VATSIM Mastery's real-world pilot mentor, and he is going to break down a full flight on the VATSIM network from Manchester to the Isle of Man.
So as you can see now, we're getting the ATIS for Manchester. The main things we need to note down would be the departure runway. In this case, you can see it's runway 23 left. The QNH, which is 1020, and then the identifier, which in this case is information Mike. So you need to note all this down and also read the NOTAMs.
Ground low again, easy 63 Charlie Echo, we're an Airbus 320 stand 6 with Mike clearance please to the Isle of Man.
EV 63 Charlie Echo cleared Isle of Man via Eclad 1 Yankee departure squawk 1254.
Cleared Isle of Man, Eclad 1 Yankee, squawk 1254, 63 Charlie Echo.
EV 63 Charlie Echo, read breakfast. Thanks for the help earlier.
No worries.
Right, so as you can see there, Caton's initial call to the controller included his stand number, his aircraft type, and the ATIS identifier, which we found earlier, in this case information Mike. So he gave his the stand he was at, he gave his aircraft type A320, he gave information Mike, and he requested clearance. And the controller came back with he's cleared to his destination, he gave a SID, and he gave Caton a squawk code which you have to input.
Easy 63 Charlie Echo, stand 6, request push and start.
Easy 63 Charlie Echo, stand 6, push and start approved, straight south.
Push start approved to the south, easy 63 Charlie Echo.
A good point to make here was that Caton made sure that the tug was connected before he called for pushback, which is very useful for the controllers. If you call for push but you're not ready for push, then they can't taxi any aircraft behind you because they expect that you're pushing, but you're not actually ready and you may take a couple more minutes. So it's very efficient if you connect your tug and make sure you are fully ready for push before you call for it.
Easy 63 Charlie Echo request taxi.
Easy 63 Charlie Echo taxi via Lima, hold Lima 1.
Lima hold Lima 1, easy 63 Charlie Echo.
Easy 63 Charlie Echo taxi Papa 1 via Lima and Papa, hold short 2.
Papa 1 Lima and Papa hold short 23 right, easy 63 Charlie Echo.
Same for you, easy 63 Charlie Echo, contact Manchester Tower 118.630, bye bye.
118.630, thanks, see you, easy 63 Charlie Echo. Hello, easy 63 Charlie Echo in sequence Papa 1.
Easy 63 Charlie Echo, Manchester, roger.
For this first, his initial call to Tower, Caton reported he's in sequence for Papa 1, which just means that he's at holding point Papa 1, but he's not the first in the queue.
Behind the departing Jet 2737800 via Tango 1 land weight 23 left behind, easy 63 Charlie Echo.
Easy 63 Charlie Echo, runway 23 left, surface winds 280 degrees, 8 knots, clear for takeoff.
Clear takeoff 23 left, easy 63 Charlie Echo.
Easy 63 Charlie Echo, nothing further, Monday advisory 122, safe flight to Ronald's Way, bye bye.
122.8, thanks, easy 63 Charlie Echo, see ya. Ronald's Way traffic, easy 63 Charlie Echo, fully established RLS, runway 26 at 16 miles Ronald's Way. Ronald's Way traffic, easy 63 Charlie Echo, 6 miles, RLS 26, Ronald's Way.
Minimum.
Light slow. Light slow. Light slow.
40, 30, 20, retard.
First priority after you land is to vacate the runway, obviously. You see Caton vacated first and then began covering up the cockpit second. So he brought the flaps up and everything like that after we vacated the runway.
Ronald's Way traffic, easy 63 Charlie Echo, 26 vacated, taxiing to stand number 9 via Foxtrot, Ronald's Way.